Good afternoon and welcome to the World at Noon. Nigerian government advises its undocumented citizens to leave Equatorial Guinea. World most wanted human trafficker has arrested in Sudan. Chad false attempt by the military to destabilize country. 2 killed in California's atmospheric river storm. Now the news in detail. The Nigerian government has advised undocumented Nigerians in Equatorial Guinea to return to the country. This is contained in a statement today at the Head Media, Public Relations and Protocols Unit of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abdurrahman Balogun. He explained that its attention was drawn to a report by the government of Equatorial Guinea in October last year, advising undocumented foreigners in their country to leave voluntarily or face government sanction. The statement revealed that the government of Equatorial Guinea has stressed that the move will help create stability in the country as well as curb elements of sabotage. The letter also stated that obtaining a 1 or 2 year residence permit by foreigners goes beyond $410 and $620. According to the statement, the Commission is committed to the welfare of its citizens and therefore advises that Nigerians in Equatorial Guinea should renew their permits if possible or apply to come back to Nigeria if undocumented to avoid sanctions by the government of Equatorial Guinea. Africa's top public health body said the Ebola outbreak in Uganda is coming under control as it has been 39 days since the last confirmed case of the virus had been reported in the country. Officials first confirmed the outbreak in September and said it was the Sudan strain of the disease for which there is no proven vaccine. Last month, Uganda discharged its last known Ebola patient from hospital, and President Yoweri Museveni lifted all Ebola-related movement restrictions, reflecting progress curbing the spread of the virus. The Africa CDC's acting director, Ahmed Ogwel Oma, told a briefing that if no new cases were reported in Uganda by January 10th, then the outbreak will be over. He commended the Ugandan government for its excellent coordination of Ebola containment measures, saying it had taken only 70 days to bring the outbreak under control, with 142 confirmed cases and 55 deaths. An Eritrean national described as one of the world's most wanted human traffickers had been arrested in Sudan after a manhunt led by the United Arab Emirates. The suspect, identified as Zakarias Habtemariam, is accused of leading a criminal organization that abducts, extorts, and murders East African migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea from Libya. According to a statement by the France-based police agency, Habtemariam was arrested in the major international police operation led by the United Arab Emirates based on information shared via Interpol. The UAE's Ministry of Interior said a breakthrough in the manhunt came after the UAE authorities began close tracking of Habtemariam's organization and members of his family, uncovering money laundering patterns that led them to Sudan. It was gathered that Interpol first began monitoring of Habtemariam's activity in 2019. It has been the subject of 2 Interpol red notices, one from Ethiopia and the other from the Netherlands. Chadian security agencies have foiled a plot by a group of army officers to destabilize the country and undermine constitutional order. A government statement asserted that a restricted group of conspirators comprising 11 officers led by the head of the Chadian Organization of Human Rights, Badni Badi Tago, were behind the alleged plot. Communications Minister and government spokesperson Aziz Mohammed disclosed that a formal investigation has been launched into what is described as a violation of the constitutional order, criminal association, illegal possession of firearm, and complicity. He added that the investigation is following its course and the government means to do everything to shed light on its affair and to determine responsibility. According to Saleh, the investigating magistrate looking at the case has charged the anarchists and ordered their detention. This is the World at Noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Voice of the West, Nigeria. Now amid this message. Time is money. Spend your time wisely. An Australian woman charged with willingly entering part of Syria that was under control of the Islamic State group has been freed on bail today as a debate raged about the risk of the community. Miriam Raj, 31, is one of the several Australians whose husbands were killed or jailed after they joined the Islamic State group. Report says Australia repatriated 4 such women and 13 children from a Syrian refugee camp in October last year. Rad has been living in the town of Young in New South Wales, as was first arrested when federal and state police executed warrants at her home and the home of a relative in Sydney. She was charged with entering or remaining in a part of Syria that was under the control of terrorists, a breach of the federal law. Information has it that if found guilty, she faces up to 10 years in prison. U.S. Security Council members have underscored the need to maintain a decades-old status quo at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in the occupied old city of Al-Qudus after the recent Israeli desecration of the holy site. The move was prompted after a contentious visit by far-right Israeli minister Itamar Ben-Gvir to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which infuriated Palestinians over the breach of the holy site status quo that allows only Muslim worship at the compound. The senior UN political affairs official Khaled Kiari told the 15-member council that it was the first visit to the site by an Israeli cabinet minister since 2017. The 15-member council discussed the Israeli storming following a request of the United Arab Emirates and China, with the Palestinian envoy and the occupying regime's representative trading verbs over the sacrilegious move at the world body. And Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani has paid tribute to top Iranian anti-terror commander General Qasem Soleimani and his Iraqi trenchmate Al-Dumadi al-Muhandis, who were killed in a U.S. drone strike near Baghdad airport 3 years ago. In his remarks at a ceremony in the capital Baghdad, in commemoration of the 2 legendary commanders, the Iraqi leader stated that their targeted killings were actually a brazen attack on Iraqi sovereignty. According to him, the crime of assassinating the commanders of victory and their companions represented a flagrant violation of Iraq's territorial integrity and national sovereignty. He added that the targeted killings of the commanders who had a leading role in eliminating all the scourge of terrorism is an utter disrespect to bilateral agreements signed between Baghdad and Washington. The Iraqi Prime Minister went on to denounce the administration of former U.S. President Donald Trump over his brazen attack on Iraq's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Torrential rains, high winds, and heavy snow have hit the state of California for a second day following a massive Pacific storm threatening much of the area with flash flooding and mudslides. Report says a third atmospheric river storm has killed at least 2 people and left tens of thousands of homes without power across California. The storm was sparked by 2 phenomena, which include an immense airborne stream of dense moisture from the ocean called an atmospheric river and a spawning hurricane low pressure system known as bomb cyclone. Reports say the latest blast of extreme winter weather marks the third and strongest atmospheric river to strike California since early last week. Meanwhile, NWS has this morning warned that the next in a parade of atmospheric rivers will arrive later today, while additional flooding and heavy mountain snow is suspected in these areas. And here again are the highlights of the world at noon. The government has advised undocumented citizens in Equatorial Guinea to return to the country. This is contained in a statement today by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission Head Media Public Relations and Protocols Unit, Abdul Rahman Balogun. The Nigerian national, described as one of the world's most wanted human traffickers, have been arrested in Sudan after a manhunt led by the UAE. China security agencies have foiled a plot by a group of army officers to destabilize the country and undermine constitutional order. We also reported that torrential rains, high winds and heavy snow have hit the state of California for a second day following a massive Pacific storm threatening much of the area with flash flooding and mudslides. That was the world at noon by Ulushayo Babatunde. 50 days to the 2023 general elections, Dr. Day advocates speedy passage of the laws against electoral offences for improved electoral process. It is written by Adeyemi Abodere of OSBC Sports Department.
The bill for an act to establish the National Electoral Offences Commission, sponsored by the Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters, Honorable Aishatu Doko, and 2 others, will provide legal framework for investigation and prosecution of electoral offences for general improvement of the nation's electoral process. The lawmakers had recommended, among others, 15-year jail term for any person convicted of vote buying in any election and 20 years jail term or a fine of 40 million naira for person convicted of ballot box snatching. Similarly, any person convicted of a speech or action which incites violence shall serve a minimum term of 10 years imprisonment or a fine of at least 40 million naira. Those convicted of breaching public peace at the venue of an election will serve a 6-month jail term or pay a fine of 100,000 naira. Also, security personnel and staff of INEC convicted of trying to influence an election in favor of a candidate in an election shall be liable for at least 6 months imprisonment or a minimum of 500,000 naira fine. In the proposed law, any judicial officer convicted of preventing electoral justice will serve a 15-year jail term without option of fine and at least 10-year jail term or a fine of 5 million naira or both for anyone convicted of impersonating a candidate in an election. Though the proposed law has attracted reactions from the electoral umpire, civil society organizations and other stakeholders, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, who spoke in support of the bill, posited that it would enable the Commission to effectively prosecute electoral offenders, including high-profile politicians that sponsor electoral violence. Having in place the National Electoral Offences Commission that will provide necessary framework for investigating and prosecuting the electoral offenders is long overdue. And electoral reform committees, including those headed by Justice Mohammed Juwais in 2009, Sheikh Ahmed Lemu in 2011, and Senator Ken Inamani in 2017 recommended the establishment of Electoral Offences Commission. NISTOC hopes that the latest attempt to have an Electoral Offences Commission will be allowed to see the light of the day. Failure to prosecute past electoral offenders had emboldened more people to commit more of such infractions in the previous elections. That is why vote buying and ballot snatching are seen as threat to a free and fair election this year if nothing is done now to curb them. 2019 general elections witnessed cases of rigging, vote buying, and other electoral offences. Unfortunately, out of 125 cases of electoral offences filed in court since the 2015 general election, only 60 convictions were secured. NISTOC is of the opinion that it is the law. If the law establishing the Electoral Offences Commission is passed and signed into law, it will enhance transparency and lead to more diligent prosecution of electoral offences, as well as securing more conviction and improve significant in the nation's electoral process.
That NISTOC was written by Adeyemi Abodere of Sports Desk and read by Olushola Egbodofo. It canvassed for speedy passage of the law against electoral offences by the National Assembly to sanitize electoral process in the country ahead of the 2023 general elections. For more about us, you can log on to osbcng.org. Thanks for listening to The World at Noon. Good afternoon.